Welcome to the Gospel of Forgiveness podcast for a special episode. I'm in the truck. It's Friday, October 27th. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm about to drive 6 hours to Georgia, and we're going to document it. And I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about my, not so much the last year of my life, but mainly what I've learned in that time. And I'm going to try and incorporate some different things in this video so it's not just going to be me talking. And I'm going to the mountains. Obviously, we're going to have some footage. We're going to do hopefully we're going to do some cool things. Now, last night I checked my account and things were not looking so good. My car insurance apparently came out and it has increased dramatically. So, I ain't got a lot of money in the bank, but I'm going to go anyway. Probably going to cost me an arm and a leg in gas to get up there, but we'll just have to be on the cheap. I'm only going to be there till Sunday morning, so I think I can keep it cheap. Truck seems to be doing okay. We did the bearings on it. We did the new tires. I fixed the cruise control. Fixed the gas tank, and replaced the radiator fluid, it didn't work out. It started overheating Monday, but put some water in it, and so far it hasn't overheated since Monday, so hopefully we're good to go. Hopefully this truck will make it to North Georgia and back. We'll be praying for that, but we'll go ahead and get started, and hopefully this whole filming thing works out the way I have it planned in my head, and it'll be pretty cool looking. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for a little bit of my story coming up. Let's get after it. When I was young, there's a song that came out in the 80s, or maybe it was the 80s, called Long Line of Love. Now, I remember hearing it from Michael Martin Murphey, but I know Paul Overstreet also did it. The first time I heard it, I think, was Michael Martin Murphey. It's a song about this guy who's going to get married, and his fiance asks him, you think we can make it? And he's like, well, yeah, because I come from a long line of love. My grandma and grandpa are still together, my mom and dad are still together. And then the second verse is about they had a son, he grows up, and he says he's about to get married. He asks him, Dad, you think I can make this work? He's like, yes, son, because you come from a long line of love. And that's kind of how, I viewed my family back then. Of course, some things have changed since then. But when I was a kid, it just seemed like people in my family, they get married, and they're married for life. My grandma, grandpa, on both sides of the family, they've been married for 60, 70 years, I don't know how long. Even my grandma and grandpa, my mom's side, like you would think they hate each other the way they interact, but they're still together. My mom and dad have been together for 43 years now, and people when they're little, I don't know what you dreamed of when you were a kid. I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna be a fireman or whatever, and this and that. And when I was young, I seen my mom and dad, I seen my grandma and grandpa, my aunts and uncles and stuff. And I was like, that's what I want when I grow up. I want to grow up and have that. Have a wife, have a family, someone to come home to every night and spend time with, hang out with, be friends. But, that's what I thought. I see it happen to everybody else. It can happen to me, right? That's not what I got. Not how it worked out. And like I've said before, if I ever write an autobiography, like, I don't know why I would, but if I ever wrote an
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
If I ever wrote an autobiography, I would call it, well, that didn't work out the way I thought it would. Because, and this is probably true of everybody's life to some extent, my life ain't turned out like I thought it was going to. That's not necessarily a bad thing. When you bring God into the equation, God's got a plan for your life. And you thought it was going to go one way, and it didn't work out. But, you can look at life two ways. You can look back at it negatively and think, well, what the heck, man? Why can't I have all the things that other people are having? And that's a load of baloney. Life has been terrible to me, this and that. You can be negative, or you can look back and try to, what did I learn? Like, what the different things in my life that didn't work out like I thought they were, like they would. Maybe they did, but what did they teach me? What kind of person did they shape me into because of what happened? So you can't necessarily choose every which way, every possibility of how your life can turn out, but you can choose the way in which you look at it. Tift County, Georgia, and you see that truck back there almost just ran me off the road. But my temperature gauge is not where I want it to be. It's not in the danger zone, but it's above normal, and not too happy about that. So I may have to get off the road here in a minute. Maybe take an early lunch or something. I don't know. 2.5 hours almost now. And I burned a quarter of a tank. So that ain't too bad. Kind of wish I'd have set my trip thing so I could see how many miles I've gone, but didn't think about that. Waze, my Waze app is telling me I should be there at 3:40. Of course, I'm going to probably stop once or twice before then. It said 3:30 something when I first got in the truck, so I don't know. I'm not going as fast as I should, I guess, but we'll see what happens. Here's a cool thing. Magnolia Plantation. But yeah. We'll see what happens. Well, we overheated, and the last shot you just saw, the cotton field was next to where I pulled off the side of the road. So I was trying to ignore it because it wasn't in the red. So I'm like, well, we'll be okay. You know, it's not in the danger zone. It's a little higher than I want it to be. But then it got in the danger zone. I was like, okay, I need to get off the road now. Hindsight being what it is, if I'd have got off the road sooner, there would have been some type of civilization. But instead I got off the road in the middle of cotton fields. And that was all I could. I was driving that way thinking, well, maybe there's a gas station or something down there. No, there's not. There's cotton fields, and more cotton fields, and little farm houses and stuff. So I ended up pulling off the side of the road across that cotton field. There's a house down the street from me. And did what I did last time when I overheated, cracked the cap on the reservoir, let the pressure bleed out. And it didn't even push a bunch of water out, so I didn't put a whole bunch of water back in it, maybe half a gallon. Crunk it up, temperature's fine, everything's fine. So now what I'm thinking is I'm gonna, right now, like I said, temperature is in normal. So we're gonna try and find a place to eat somewhere around here. I'm not even sure where here is. Last time I remember I was in Tifton, but I think I passed Tifton. But I'm gonna find some place to eat so that while I'm inside eating or whatever I'm doing, the truck is not running and the engine is cooling off. So let's see if that works, and then hopefully I can still get to my Airbnb by 5. I don't know. We'll see. Wish me luck. Well, we made it to Cordell. I believe I'm saying that correctly. Cordell, Georgia. Which funny was the first stop on my honeymoon. But we're stopping in Cordell because, like I said, I'm going to let this thing sit for a minute and cool off. So I figure why go to a fast food place, because I do that all week at work. I can go to the Cracker Barrel. Who don't like the Cracker Barrel? So I'm going to go in here, get me something to eat, get back on the road, and hopefully I can get to. I ain't looking forward to Atlanta. I definitely want to get to Atlanta before rush hour. But hopefully I can get to my Airbnb in Blairsville by 5. We shall see what happens. Alright, that was pretty good. I mean, when is Cracker Barrel not good? But, you know, on this journey I've been on the last year, one of the things I've tried to do is enjoy my own company. But let me tell you something, I'm kind of boring. Going out to eat by yourself in a sit-down restaurant is pretty boring. Because I'm like, I'll be cool waiting on my food. I just get on the phone, play around on my phone, but that only lasts me a minute or two before I'm bored with the phone. I'm sitting there like, I sure wish I had somebody to talk to. But Cracker Barrel is good, and now we're going to get back on the road. I've typed in the actual address to the place I'm going. It says 200 miles away. Let me try it again. Or 244 miles away. Whatever it is, let's go ahead and get it started. Alright, so we talked about what it was I wanted, like what it was I wanted out of life. When I was growing up and I was a kid, let's talk about what I actually got. So I had the dream, and I went out looking for it. And when I was 21, on my 21st birthday actually, I met the girl that was going to be my wife. And we met on the AOL chat room. And started talking. Before you know it, we were dating. And a year and a half after we met, we were getting married. So I was like, finally. Thing I wanted, I have accomplished.
Police reported ahead.
So I went off to boot camp 2 weeks after we got married. Didn't work out. I got medical discharge, sent back home. And that was it. Life started. We were living in an apartment on the west side. But it was not meant to be. So a year after we got married, she was telling me I want a divorce. So that was that. Then I spent the next 15 years dating. And now, when that first marriage ended, I'm like, this won't be no problem. I'll meet somebody else. I'll be married within 3 or 4 years. No, didn't work out that way. Ended up dating for 15 years, give or take. Had maybe one serious relationship during that time, and it was just a mess. And a lot of that, at the time I didn't know this, but it was because of me. Like, I keep thinking, I'm meeting all these girls and they just ain't this and they ain't that, and how come, there ain't no good women out there. And I would find out recently, later after this, it wasn't them so much as it was me. So I started going to church at Grace Missionary in 2014, and soon after is when Tanya started coming, about a year or two later. And I knew I wanted her as soon as I seen her. As soon as she come in there, I was just like, wow. And I'm like, God, I've been praying that you'd send me a wife. And I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. I was like, but I sure do like that one right there. And it didn't happen right away. But a couple of years after that, her grandpa passed away. And she messaged me asking if I had any Bible verses that would help her, grieve. So I gave her some, and then we just started talking. Like, the next day we talked, and like, it became more frequent where we were talking every day, and then we went out on a date. Well, the rest of this day is history, right? I asked her to marry me in June of 2018, or 2019. June of 2019. We started dating officially March of 2018, and I asked her to marry me a little over a year later. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is the one. Like, because you date girls, you're a Christian, and you date girls that you meet online or whatever, you don't know if they're really a Christian, if they're just putting on a show. You don't know what kind of crazy doctrine they're into. But I'm like, I met this girl at church. She believes like I do. She's into the same things I'm into. We get along. We have so much fun together. I'm like, I finally found the one. I'm 39 when we got married. I'm like, finally. But no, because remember how I said the problem was not so much women, but the problem was me. And I just didn't know it at the time. And I thought to myself, after my first marriage ended, I'm like, okay, I see what happened. I know what to do better next time. And I know what I'm not going to do next time, so that the divorce thing don't happen to me again. And I thought I did that, but I didn't. I did the exact same thing I did during my first marriage, and it looked different. So it didn't look the same as it did the first time, but it was basically the same thing. And I'm just like, well, I'm married. This is it. We're good to go forever. She's not going to leave me. She's already swore up and down she's not going to leave me. She ain't going nowhere. And then she left. And for the first couple months, I'm just losing my mind. Like, how is this happening again? Like, I don't understand it. So, they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, I'm looking at it like, maybe it's me. Like, maybe the problem isn't that I can't find a good woman. Maybe the problem's with I'm not a good man. And when you're in a desperate situation, after you and your spouse split up, man, I'm looking for everything. Anything I can find to help me. And that's when I come across the Bulletproof Husband. Now, that wasn't the only marriage program I looked at. There's a ton of them out there. But that's the one I chose mainly for the price, but also because a lot of the marriage programs, sorry, I'm checking my notes to make sure I'm not going over. A lot of the marriage programs out there were like, well, hey, this is what you do. You give your wife or your husband, whatever, you give them space, you work on yourself, and then you hope that they see the changes and see that you're becoming a better person. And I'm like, that's not for me. I'm like, I'm not a wait around and see kind of person. And the Bulletproof Husband was more, you do the work, make the changes, and there was action involved. There wasn't sitting around waiting. There was action involved. So it was eye-opening, to say the least, and we'll get to that in the next section. So I joined the marriage program. We were separated 2 months, and I thought, this will be all right. We'll get back together. We'll be fine. But then she dropped the bomb on me. I don't want to be married anymore. Instantly, we got off the phone. I joined the program, and I was looking for, the magic bullet. That's I think what a lot of people are looking for in that situation. They're looking for, what is the thing I can say, what is the thing I can do that's going to win my wife back. There's got to be something. Because, when you first split up, you're sending her flowers, sending her songs, writing her poems, writing her letters, confessing your undying love for her and whatnot, and ain't none of it worth a thing to her. So I'm like, well, what is it I'm missing? So that's what I was looking for when I joined the program. That ain't what I found, though. It's like it comes to a shock, it shocks you when you start learning these things that we just don't know. We're just going through life, hoping we figure things out, and some people do. Some people get married and they're happily ever after. Some people just get along with everybody. Everybody loves them. Some people just don't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. They started explaining how women communicate differently than men, which, on the surface makes sense, but you never really think about it. And because the whole time the separation just hit me out of the, I was like, where did this come from? Like, I had no idea that this was even coming. I had no idea we were really having problems. So the marriage coaches start explaining to you the way in which your wife will tell you what the problems are. She's not going to come right out and say it. Women have their own way of saying things. And I started realizing she had been telling me that there was problems. And I just wasn't listening. I didn't know how to listen. So that was an eye-opener there. And then, men get all mad because, well, she said she took vows. She said that come what may, she would, stick it out, and this and that. And I started learning how men base their decisions off logic. So, whatever is the logical thing to do is what we're going to do. And women base their decisions on how they feel. So how they feel right now might be different than how they feel tomorrow. So you've heard the phrase, well, I'm a man of my word, because that's how men are. They are, if they have given their word, and in most cases, of course not all cases, if they have given their word, then logically they're going to keep that word, because men make decisions based on logic. Women do not. They make decisions based on feelings. So if a woman has said, I'll take you to be my husband for this and that, that was how she was feeling at the time, but as soon as she's not feeling that way, and that's not to say they won't try and hang on, but eventually they get to the point where they got to go. They feel like they have to go, and that's the right thing for them to do. So that really opened my eyes. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because how can you ever trust a woman if that's how they're going to be? But it's one of those things in life that if you want a woman to stick around, you better give her what she needs. As soon as you stop, and not just money and paying the bills and whatever, you got to be able to give her what she needs emotionally, where she's gone. She'll go find somebody else to do it. And that's your job as a man to do that. So they also told us about insecurities. And that really opened my eyes how not just men, everybody has insecurities. They call them bullets. That's why it's called the bulletproof husband. And we develop these insecurities when we're children, and we don't know what to do with them because we're kids. Like someone calls you ugly when you're 8, and it goes in you, and you kind of hold on to it, and you're like, am I ugly? I must be ugly because they called me ugly. And then you get this mentality, and then every time something happens to reinforce that insecurity, you just build on it and build on it. And part of the ways we protect ourselves is that we overcompensate. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people think I'm smart. And that's not a brag on me, which you'll find out in a minute. A lot of people, hey Richard, can you help me figure out, something with my computer? Hey, they'll ask me questions about what I think about the Bible, stuff like that. People just think I'm smart to an extent. And the reason is because
Watch out, object on road ahead.
Is because I want to know everything. I want to learn everything. I read, I study, I've read a lot of books. If I don't know something, I go look it up and research it. But the reason I do that is because I have an insecurity, a fear of looking stupid. And that goes back to my childhood, and we'll go into that in the next section. But if you have a fear of looking weak, you'll do everything you can to look strong. Go to the gym, you get all buff and ripped. If you have a fear of looking stupid, you'll do everything you can to look smart, to hide that insecurity. So we'll go into that later, how that plays a role in your marriage. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let's go enjoy some more of this drive. We have stopped at the gas station because I felt like I needed something to drink. So I got me a Monster. And the essentials. Coffee M&Ms. Got some gas. Now I'm going to, I believe, let me see what it says here. I got about 120 miles left. It says I'm going to get there around 6, which is not what I was hoping for, but it is what it is. I still got 2.5 hours. How can it be so long just to go across one state? I can't imagine if I was driving out west or something. Gracious. Anyway, let's get back on the road. And traffic ain't great right now, so we'll see what happens. We're here. I'm gonna take a look around. I think they could have blown the leaves off. That sign is true. I already saw 2 deer before I even pulled in here. Pretty neat. Kitchen, bathroom. Is there a light switch, I don't guess? Oh, there it is. First floor bedroom. I don't know if I'm gonna sleep down there because, I mean, how do you turn down a spiral staircase? I mean, I kind of want to sleep up here just because it's up here. Pretty cool. I got this place for, I think it's 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday night. And I paid less than $500 for it, somewhere between $400 and $500. So not too bad at all. I didn't stop and get me any food. I kind of need food, but also I didn't see a whole lot in between. Where on the way here there wasn't much, and I'm a little bit scared of them roads because they were twisty, they were up and down. So I might risk going to get food, I guess. We'll see if there's anything close enough by. Otherwise, I just might fast until the morning. But, yep. We're here. Alright, I know I told you guys I would much rather sleep upstairs. It's just cool looking. But this bed on the first floor, in the first bedroom I showed you, way more comfortable than those two up there. So I was just going through my footage that I got today. We'll just say I can do better. I'm not sure about that microphone I was using. It almost seems like I'd be better off using this microphone, the one that's just the built-in camera microphone. I don't know. But some of the B-roll I got wasn't that great. But I did mess around with the camera just now, and I got some settings. I've changed some settings, and I figured out, because my B-roll footage would have been a lot better if I'd have known how to zoom it on the fly. I couldn't remember how to do that because I've only had this camera for a few days. But now I got that figured out, so some of the things I was trying to video and record, I can zoom in on them now when the time comes for me to drive back home. But I went out on the porch here, and I don't know, I wouldn't say I got them finished, but I nearly got all my notes finished. Well, they're not really a note, it's really an outline. And just about got it all done. I got enough to do tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll have to figure out, because if you've watched the video to this point, you see what I got going on. I'm dividing my journey up into sections. So I want to give y'all the full story about everything I've learned. Maybe it'll help y'all. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know. But it's like a, what's the word for it? It's a double-edged sword, catch-22. Like, I come up here, I booked this 2 months ago with the intent of maybe me and my wife will be back, not back together, but working toward it. And we can go up here and celebrate our anniversary in the mountains like we did on our honeymoon. And I was like, and if she don't, that's fine. I'll go myself, and it'll be a good experience for me. And it is. It is going to be a good experience for me. I've already been doing some reading. I want to do some writing tomorrow. I'm going to do some praying. And it's going to be a good time for me spiritually and mentally. But it's also pretty boring. It'd be much nicer if I had somebody to talk to, someone to have fun with. But such is life, and the only person to which I can control is me. So I'm going to go ahead and get some shut-eye, charge up this camera, whatever else needs charging. Get up in the morning, we're going to drink coffee on the porch, looking at the mountains. And I'll talk to y'all then. All right, good morning. So I got up this morning before I wanted to because I had to pee. But got up, had coffee, not on the porch because it's chillier than a Florida boy likes it to be. Plus, I didn't have no sugar for my coffee, and I had to use artificial sweetener, and I hate artificial sweetener, but it is what it is, you know. So I got on the phone, on the Google this morning, like, what can I do around here? Like, there's like a trail over here, I guess. The sign says it's a trail, but I don't really look like a trail. I was like, I want to go do some trails, look at some stuff, see what they got to offer up here. So I Googled it, and there's a park nearby, Vogel State Park, and it looks like it's got a bunch of cool stuff to look at, waterfalls, lakes, and mountains, and whatever. You got all the stuff I came up here to see. So we're gonna go yonder and probably get some good B-roll. I might film one of the segments there, and that would be it. Then I'll probably go find me some sugar and come back here to the cabin. Probably some other things. I don't know. We'll see what we get into. Let's go check it out. So I'm at Vogel State Park on some trail. They have a whole bunch of trails here. Not really sure which this one is, but we're going to walk. Hope I don't die. And if I see something cool on the way, we'll get some footage of it. I'm kind of already winded just walking up that little bit of a slope there, but my legs ought to be good and strong today. definitely fall. So, I've been getting a lot of footage, but I noticed I haven't been saying much. It's a lot more crowded out here than I thought it was. So I ain't gonna get into too much talking, but I'm on a 3 mile, that's what the sign said, 3 mile hiking trail, supposed to loop around. So far I've not died. There's been some places where I was like, but we'll keep on going, see if there's anything else for me to show y'all. I'm sure there is. There's a lot of cool stuff out here. So I'm learning all these things from the program about insecurities and the way your wife communicates, the way you communicate with her, what she needs, what you need. And it comes as a shock because it goes against everything you've always thought about what it means to be a man and how men are supposed to act, stuff like that. So your pride, your ego gets in the way, and you just want to be like, this is bull. This is a bunch of bull. But remember in John chapter 6 verse 66 where it talks about, Jesus said something to the disciples and some of them couldn't handle it, so they walked away. So the one person that can help you, can save, he said something that they just couldn't accept, and they walked away. So I didn't want to do that. I was like, what have I got to lose? So I started listening to them about, and at first I didn't get it because I'm like, in order for me to have these things that you're talking about, like my childhood wasn't bad. Like I had a good childhood. My parents weren't cruel or mean or anything like that. So I was having no luck at first trying to figure out what my insecurities were. But then I got to learning and listening and realized that you can get insecurities from something that wasn't meant to be taken in the wrong way, or the way you took it. I started thinking about my childhood, how I was, I was a skinny little kid. So anytime I already felt like I was weak because I was skinny. So anytime someone said something about it or anything that made me feel weak, boom, I started getting insecure. And then I started looking at a whole bunch of other things where like my parents or somebody said something to me and they did not mean it in a negative way or in a mean way, but I took it that way subconsciously. And well, you're weak, Richard, because you're skinny. That's how I took it. And then I started, like I mentioned earlier, building all these behaviors around it. Then what you do once you find them, we'll get into that later. But once you start discovering these things, it makes perfect sense. Like why do I not show emotion to my wife like the one person you're supposed to be able to open up to? And I don't, because I have that insecurity of looking weak. I don't want to look weak. I have to look strong. I remember a time where I was coming home from work a couple years ago, and man, I just felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. You know, I had work, had podcasts to do, had Sunday school to teach, had Bible college, and then somewhere amongst all that, my wife wanted to hang out with me. She wanted to spend time with me. And I just didn't know how I was going to make all that happen. So I'm on my way home from work one day when I was at Moose Haven, bawling, crying. I was like, God, this is so heavy. But and then when I got home, like, Tanya's coming home, wipe up the tears. You gotta look tough, you gotta look manly. Because that was my insecurity. I was afraid to look weak. And then once you deal with it, you feel free, you feel much better. And we'll talk about that in the next one. Can't lie to you, I'm ready for this trail to be over. I probably should have ate some breakfast. I probably should have brought some water. But it's 3 miles. I feel like I've got to be close to the end by now. So, don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do not regret it. I do regret not being quite as prepared as I could have been. But I know I'm going to leave here as soon as I get done with this trail. Go find me some food, go back to the cabin, figure out if I can watch the game. It starts at a couple hours from now. And just chill out the rest of the evening. It's going to be good. Oh Lord, I almost made a mistake. I turned down this one trail that I thought was going to be the one to take me back, and I think it was taking me further away. Luckily I caught it, turned around and came back, and I ended up down at the end of the camping, which there's a bunch of it. There's a bunch of people out here camping, which, by the way, their camping out here looks awesome. Looks super fun. They got cottages, which is where I'm parked at right now. Little cottages around here you can rent and camp in. And then you go over there and you get to the spots for your RV and stuff like that. And then you go past that and you get to the primitive camping, where you're basically just throwing a tent up in the woods kind of thing. Luckily, my feet didn't start hurting me until I got to the camping spot and I got on that blacktop. That's when my feet started hurting. But luckily, that was a 3-mile loop, and I'm sure I went off a couple times, but it was good. It was good. There's like 4 or 5 trails here, and I only hit one. So definitely a place I'd like to come back to. And now, after seeing their camping setup, I kind of want to buy a camper. That looks awesome. Those people were living their best life. But I'm going to go out of here and get me some food. Yeah, because I'm starving and I'm thirsty. So now, like I said, we went through all that, going through your past and looking at where your insecurities came from. Now what? There's emotional work, and the work involved is the fact that whenever those things happen to you when you were little, you didn't know what to do with them, so you just kind of shoved them down and didn't let yourself experience the emotion that came with it. Whatever that emotion was, sadness, anger, whatever it was, you didn't let yourself feel it. So that was part of the work to do, is to go back, dig up those old memories, and just sit there and let yourself experience the emotion. Whatever that entailed. Whether it meant you sitting there and bawling your eyes out, whether it meant you punching a punching bag, whatever it is. And what does that do? What it does is shows you that these things that you've been telling yourself for your whole life, I'm ugly, I'm weak, I'm stupid, these things that you've been telling yourself your whole life is a bunch of baloney. Just stuff. You took something that happened to you in your life, and it happens to everybody, and you let it control you. You let it define who you are instead of deciding for yourself who you are. I'll give you a verse, and I already talked about this verse on a couple episodes back. It's raining leaves out here. 2 Corinthians 10:5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. The part I like there is bringing into captivity every thought. For the majority of your life, you've let these thoughts that you've had. And you know, the thing about this, when I started learning this stuff, and I started noticing how other people do it. And the things that they do that I did, that I didn't know I did, kind of thing. But I started noticing how people put themselves down. And sometimes you're like, oh, they don't take themselves too seriously. And that's good, not to take yourself too seriously. But sometimes it's not that. It's not self-deprecating humor. It's the fact that they actually believe that about themselves, that they're stupid or they're ugly or whatever it is. Maybe we all have insecurities, more than one. I had more than one. And I started seeing other people do it. But once you've dealt with it, once you know what they are and you've dealt with it, it's like, who's going to stop you? Like, why am I up here in North Georgia by my daggum self? Why did I go to a concert 3 or 4 weeks ago by myself? Because previously, these insecurities would have said, no, you don't do that. That's not what you do. What will everybody think? Because you're doing something that you don't regularly do. You can't do that. What will people think? And so that's why I'm here. And my mom texted me last night, said this is not something you normally do. That's exactly why I'm doing it. Because it's not something I would normally do. And because my insecurities wouldn't let me do it before. Well, I can't go without somebody. I need someone to go with me. No, I don't. I don't need anybody. And that's, that could be a conversation for another day. Once you've dealt with your insecurities, you've, got to the point where you realize that you are responsible for your own happiness. Nobody else is. You have to be happy with you before you can expect anybody else to be happy with you. And we're going to touch on that a little bit more in the next section. For the moment, I'm going to go back inside and finish watching the Gators get murdered by the Bulldogs. So I hope you enjoy your evening. At least I have some Reese's I bought. like a bologna sandwich at 10 o'clock at night. I wish I could remember what that mustard is called. Some kind of stone ground mustard. I put it on my bratwurst earlier, and I kind of liked it, but I didn't like it on the sandwich. Didn't care for it. Still got mustard seeds in it. It's weird. Anyway, last night in the old cabin, and did some cleaning, filled my water jug up in case we overheat tomorrow. I'll have some water. And just gonna got the coffee pot ready so I can just turn it on in the morning. I might sleep in a little later because my alarm for church is set for 8:30, so I'm probably just gonna leave it there. The lady said I emailed her on my way up here, said, hey, I had some truck problems. I'm going to be there around 6. And she said, oh, okay, you can check out whenever you want because checkout time is 10. And she was like, you can check out whenever you want. But I have a 6-hour drive back home, so I'm probably going to try and get out of here around 9:30. So before 10, I'm going to try and get back on the road and hopefully be home by 6 or 7 tomorrow. So I got the coffee pot ready. Plan on get up. I'm going to have coffee on the porch and enjoy the view and the sounds of nature. And just clean up, make sure I leave the place looking like it did when I got here. And we'll head back to the house. And when I'm having my morning, I'm trying to figure out, because like I said, I got the whole video mapped out here. And some of these I've kind of messed them up already and talked about them when I was not supposed to talk about them. So I'm going to have 2 more sections. I'm going to do one in the morning when I wake up and I'm having my coffee on the porch. Then we'll do one more on the way home from work, or from this place, not from work. And it was hard to get footage on the drive, so I'm going to have my camera set up in a better way. Probably use my phone, actually, to get some better footage. But anyway, I will talk to y'all in the morning, and we will finish this thing up tomorrow. And it's going to be epic, okay? I really don't know until I start editing it how it's going to turn out, but hopefully it's going to be pretty awesome. So the audio here didn't turn out so well, so let me give you a voiceover, but I didn't want to deprive you of the scenery, so just pretend like it works. So I was saying here, this is not an ad for the marriage program I was in. I know I should have said that way earlier, but that's not what I was getting at here. I was just wanting to share with you some of the things I learned. These are some things to consider in your own life if you are struggling with, things about yourself that you don't like, or relationship problems or stuff like that. There's 2 main things I've learned in the program. Well, 2 general areas. One was what, marriage and relationship related things. And one was just things about myself. And they're intertwined together. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. They're intertwined together. So one of the things they teach you right up front when you join the marriage program, and this really goes for anything you do in life, you got to do it for yourself. You can't do it for somebody else. And they say, you come in here and you're doing all these things to get your wife back, you're never going to get her back Because as soon as it seems like it's not working, you're going to quit and you're going to walk away. You have to do it for yourself. So I got to thinking when I first joined, even before then, like, if we were having all these problems in our marriage, why didn't she say something? Like, why didn't she come right out and tell me? And then the more I learned about the way in which women communicate differently than men, I realized she was telling me. She was telling me. I just wasn't listening. They talk about they have something called the relationship triangle, where you have the relationship, you have the husband, you have the wife. The husband's job is to lead, to be the leader of the marriage. The wife's job is to be the manager. And the way she manages is like, has your wife ever suggested something to you? And I'll give you examples. In my case, this is how my wife was telling me we had problems. She would say, hey, you want to help me put these dishes away, after she did dishes? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go get on my computer and do what I got to do. Or she would say, hey, you want to come sit on the porch with me just for 10 minutes? Talk to me on the porch. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go do my thing. Or, she'd come and say, hey, let's watch a movie. It's time to watch a movie. I'd be like, I got to finish this Sunday school lesson. Or, I got whatever I got to work on. That was her telling me what the relationship needed. She was saying, when she said, hey, help me put dishes away. Hey, I want to spend time with you and talk. I want to talk. And, hey, come sit on the porch with me. I want to spend time with you. I want to, get to know you on a deeper level. Or come watch a movie with me. Hey, I just want to spend time with my best friend watching a movie. She was telling me what the relationship needed. And I'm sure if you look at whatever relationship you're in, you notice the same thing. Your wife will tell you things, and you're like, okay, I guess. She's telling you what she's managing the relationship. She's telling you what it needs at any given time. And if she's like, hey, why don't you go do your thing with your friends? And, I'm going to go see my mom or something like that. She's telling you, hey, right now, what the relationship needs is space. We need some time apart to go do our own thing. So she was telling me the whole time. I just wasn't listening. And the way, women make decisions based on feelings, while men make decisions based on logic. That for them, it's however I feel right now, I'm going to decide. For a man, it's I'm going to do something and then decide how it felt. While a woman's going to feel it and then do an action. So, different way. That's why, when she said, I'm going to love you forever. And then one day she's like, I'm out of here. Because at the time, she felt as if she was going to love you forever, but it didn't last that way. So the other thing is about the insecurities. We have these things we've been carrying around our whole life, and they're just, we start picking them up when we're kids and putting them in our pockets and hiding them until one day our pockets are just so full of these hurts that we've been carrying around that we've got all these behaviors we've come up with to hide them and protect ourselves. And we just need to get rid of them. Quit letting these things determine who you are. So over the last course, however many decades you've been alive, you've been under the impression, I'm fat, I'm ugly, whatever it is that you believe about yourself, all because someone said it to you or made you feel that way a long time ago, and you've been carrying it around for this long and adding to it and adding to it. And we just need to let that stuff go and stop letting that define who we are. Let God define who you are. And we're going to get into that in the next section in the truck on the way to Florida. We are Florida bound. I don't know what the GPS does up here, but it's like go down this road, this road, this road. And then I'm like I drove a little bit of this yesterday. Seems like if you just took that road. It seems like they took me out of where the cabin was, brought me around the back, and then back around. That's what it seemed like to me anyway. But we're on, I'm pretty sure this is the road yesterday that scared the mess out of me. not yet, but up here, once I get closer to where the park is, it's gonna be it. Once I get closer to where the park is, it gets up and down, and windy, and this and that. Brakes get hot. Let's just say that. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and turn overdrive off. Get ready for it. Anyhow, I'm gonna get some footage of that for y'all. Hopefully. Here we go.
I never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Here we go, turning all the wrongs into rights. Here we go, you can take me there tonight. Whoa, this life is all we own. Whoa, I can't stay if you can't let it go. I never really know what's going on. And even when you're next to me, I feel like you were gone. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I seek what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure. But one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be One day I'll be
So we're in Dawson, Georgia, I believe. Headed down is, I don't know if this is I guess it's a State Road 400, and it started out as a little 2-lane, and it said, you know, when I turned on it, it's like, stay on this road for basically an hour. I'm like, how is a little 2-lane road an hour long? But then it turned into this state road thing. But I'm pretty much out of the up and down, side to side thing. So now we're in about cruise control mode. I can use cruise control now, so that's good. And just stopped, filled up with gas here, and shouldn't have to stop for gas. Shouldn't. But this GPS says I got 386 miles to go. So getting home at 6 ain't looking. We'll see. We'll see. But let me get back on the road here and knock this out.
Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life changes, just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure. But one day I'll be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure. But one day I'll be yours.
Okay, so we talked about last time how knowing these things and working through these things
Continue straight for 50 minutes to exit 177, I-475 South, bypass to I-75 South, Valdosta.
can help you in your personal life, in life in general. How does it help you in your spiritual life? Well, consider that all these things that you have come to think about yourself over the years, you're not what God thinks about you. Well, I'm stupid, or I'm weak, or whatever. God doesn't think that about you. You know, God has a purpose for you, and He sees your potential and what you could accomplish for Him. He's not worried about all these things that you think you are because someone told you. Here comes some lovely traffic. So a lot of people sometimes, I can include myself in this sometimes, you'll think, well, I want to do something for the Lord, but, you know, I ain't nobody special. I'm not this or I'm not that. Or, you know, if I do that, what will people think? This and that and the other thing. But,
Estimated time in traffic, 10 minutes.
but none of that matters. It only matters to you. It don't matter to God. So the quicker you recognize the fact that these things are holding you down, and you probably don't think they are, because I didn't think they were for me either. I would just say, well, you know, this is just how I am. You know, and I made that excuse to my wife several times. You knew I was this way when you married me. As if it's perfectly okay for me to be emotionally absent from a relationship, because that's just who I am. No, like I said before, you know, my first marriage fell apart, okay. And then I finally get to my second marriage and I think, well, this is it. I got it figured out. I know what I did wrong last time. Now I'm going to do it right. And it falls apart too. And you start to ask yourself, you know, at first, you want to blame because you don't want to be the one wrong. You want to blame. But you got to look at yourself when you've had two of them not work out so well. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe all these things that I make excuses for, like, well, it's just the way I am. Maybe that's something I should change. Maybe that shouldn't be the way I am. And you're what, you know, think about how I'm doing this YouTube channel. And we did the podcast for 7 years. And part of me is like, you got to keep doing it because that's what you do. This and that and the other thing. What will people think if you stop? Blah blah blah. This and that. That was just my insecurities talking. That was just my fear of stepping out into something different and doing something I want to do. Like I wanted to do the podcast when I started it, and after 7 years, I'm like, okay, I've done enough of that. I'm ready to go try something new. So old me would have been like, oh no, man, I don't know if I can do that. I'll probably screw it up. People get mad at me. People won't like it. But you know, once you've dealt with the insecurities, you're like, I don't care. I don't really care what other people think about me. That's why I wear a kilt to work every Friday. I don't care. The only opinion that matters is me and the Lord. Mainly the Lord. Don't get me wrong, I'm not putting myself on the same level as God. But as long as I know I'm doing something that doesn't go against His word and His will, that I don't care what other people think about it. I don't care if people like it. Whatever. And in the grand scheme of things, I have done all this work to become a better me, but also a better husband. Now, maybe my wife don't care. Maybe she don't want a better husband. Maybe she just, you know, can't get over the past. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I know that I'm good to go. Whether she stays and decides to work things out, whether she goes, it's going to be okay either way because I don't have to move forward in life with doubt and just wondering, like, well, if I end up not having to worry about if I'm going to screw up, what comes next. Because I'm in a spot now where I'm like, I know who I am, and I'm happy with who I am. And I'm going to go out and do my thing and be happy in myself and what I provide. And if someone comes along, hopefully my wife, if not, someone comes along who wants to add to my happiness and I can add to theirs, that'd be pretty awesome. But you can't rely on someone else, like, oh, you make me so happy. You don't make me happy. I'm already happy. You add to my happiness. And whether you're here or not, I'm still going to be happy. So anyway, hopefully this video makes sense when I put it all together. And instead I was only going to be waiting in this traffic for 10 minutes, but it sure looks like more than 10 minutes worth of traffic. But that's it for the bulk of the stuff. If you want to stick around for the rest of the vlogging experience, I'll get back with you in just a minute. Well, I said we weren't going to have to stop no more, but apparently my truck is allergic to Tift County, Georgia. Because Tift County is where we overheated at on the way up, and now it's where we're overheating at on the way home. It's not like it was. It started to creep up past normal, and when it got about 3/4 of the way up, I'm like, well, it's not in the danger zone, but I don't want to play around like I did last time. So I just got off the road here in the most terrible spot because there's no way to get back on going south. Looks like I'm gonna have to get back on going north, go down there, turn around and come back. And I'm still 106 miles away from home. So I'm just gonna do what I did last time. I'm gonna crack the top on the radiator, let the pressure drain out until it gets to where I can take the cap off, and then I'll put some water in it. We'll be on our way, and hopefully it'll be our last stop. Home sweet home. Done with interstate driving. Nothing but the roads I know from here on out. I was trying to figure out, I might check the GPS. I don't know if it'll tell me my total miles, because I didn't set my tripometer, so I don't know how many total miles, but my guess is around 700 miles round trip. Because when I left this morning, it was like 386 miles or something home. So, you know, probably the same amount going up there, give or take. So, pretty good trip. Overheated twice in the same spot, but it's like the first time it overheated. Opened up the thing, released the pressure, put more water in it, and it didn't ever even overheat again. And I figured it would. Going up and down those mountains, I figured it would overheat doing that, but it never did. Same thing on the way home. It overheated. I stopped, popped the top, let the pressure out, put some water in it, and it has not got above normal one time since then. So it's weird. My dad said something about the thermostat might be sticking. I think there might be some trash in it, but we'll probably change the thermostat Sellers. Sellers. You miss me? That all the love you got for me? I guess so. Well, I guess that's where we're going to end it. I appreciate y'all coming along. If you even watched it this far, I especially appreciate y'all. Because a lot of work went into this. And I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. At least I hope I am. This is kind of my first attempt at doing something like this. So thanks for coming along. And until next time, take up your cross. Carry on.